Hello and welcome to the Learn English Lab. I'm your host, Mike.
Hi, everyone.
And I am so excited to be joined today by Sarah.
Hey, Mike.
Sarah, we are diving into a topic that I think is going to resonate with pretty much every English learner out there.
Absolutely.
How to memorize new vocabulary.
Yes, it's a big one.
And we've all been there, right?
Oh, for sure.
You study these word lists, maybe you feel good, you ace a quiz or two.
Right, you think you've got it.
Then you get into a conversation.
Uh-oh.
And your mind goes blank.
It happens to the best of us.
It's like, where did all those words go?
Poof, gone.
So what we're going to do in this deep dive is we're going to explore 10 tips.
10 tips.
That can help you not just learn, but really remember new English words.
Exactly, because what's the point of learning if you can't remember?
And Sarah, I know you have so much experience with this, so I'm eager to hear your insights.
Well, I'm happy to share what I've learned over the years.
Awesome. So let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
First up, we have a method that I think a lot of people are familiar with.
Okay, I think I know where you're going with this.
Flashcard.
Slap it.
Some people love them.
Some people hate them.
But I think, especially when you're starting out, they can be a really valuable tool.
I agree, they give you that structure.
Right, and that repetition.
Yeah, that helps build those initial connections.
But here's the key.
Okay, I'm like,
don't just get stuck in that rote memorization mode.
oh yeah, you don't want to just be a word robot.
Exactly, because the real magic happens when you take those words for a test drive.
I like that analogy. Take them for a spin.
Right, use them in different situations.
See how they work in the real world.
So think about it this way.
Okay.
You wouldn't just read a driver's manual.
Right.
And then expect to be a pro driver.
Nope. You got to get behind the wheel.
Exactly. You need to actually practice on the road.
Exactly. Experience those tricky situations.
It's the same with vocabulary.
Makes sense. You need to get out there and use the words.
And there are some amazing flashcard apps out there these days.
Oh yeah, technology can be a great help.
They can make the process a lot more engaging.
More fun, for sure.
But, sometimes
yeah,
old school pen and paper,
sometimes the classics are the best.
it can be super effective.
Definitely. And I would add that making your own flashcard sets can be really powerful.
Because you're not just passively absorbing words from a pre-made list.
Right, you're actively choosing words that you've discovered in your own learning journey.
Exactly, and that act of creating the cards itself.
It's like another layer of learning.
It's like you're telling your brain, hey, this word is important, remember this.
Exactly, you're making it personal.
Okay, so we've talked about flashcards.
Yeah, good starting point.
But now let's move on to tip number 2.
Okay, bring it on.
Which focuses on learning words in the context of full sentences.
Ah, context is key.
Because words can be tricky.
They can be sneaky little things.
They can have multiple meanings.
Right, and those meanings can change depending on how they're used.
Exactly. Like take the word catch, for example.
Catch.
If you only learned catch, as in to capture something,
Like catch a ball.
you might be a little confused if you hear someone say,
Let me guess something about transportation.
I catch the bus to work every day.
There it is.
So that's why learning new words within full sentences
It just makes sense.
is so crucial.
It gives you the full picture.
It helps you really understand how those words are used naturally in conversation.
Like in the wild.
Exactly. And this brings us to a technique called sentence mining.
Sentence mining sounds intriguing.
It's like becoming a word detective.
I like it.
You are actively collecting sentences
Okay.
that use the words that you're learning.
So you're building your own personal examples.
Exactly. You can find free sentence lists online,
Oh, that's handy.
or you could even work with a tutor
One-on-one attention.
to create personalized sentences that are relevant to your interests and goals.
So it's tailored to your needs.
Exactly. All right, so moving right along to tip number 3,
Okay, what's next?
a golden rule of language learning.
I think I know this one.
Use it or lose it.
Oh, true.
It's true for everything, really.
Yeah, whether it's playing the piano
Learning to code.
or speaking English.
If you don't actively use a skill, it just fades away.
It's like muscles. You don't use them, they get weaker.
So as soon as you encounter a new word,
Okay,
find a way to put it into practice.
put it to work.
Of course, having a conversation with another English speaker
That's ideal.
is the ideal scenario.
Yeah, real life practice.
And there are so many possibilities for that these days.
Oh yeah, there's no excuse.
Language exchange apps,
Online communities.
even just chatting with friends who are also learning English.
It's all about finding those opportunities.
But even if you don't have a conversation partner readily available,
Okay, what if you're flying solo?
there are still ways to actively use those new words.
Like what?
You could write a comment on a YouTube video.
Oh, that's a good one.
You can record yourself speaking the words out loud.
So you can hear yourself using them.
Or even just create a sentence in your head.
So just thinking it through
The point is to make those words your own.
to internalize them.
Okay, so we're living in an age of instant translation.
Right at our fingertips.
But our next tip might surprise you.
Oh, I love a good surprise.
It's about learning how to look up new words
Wait, so there's a right way.
the right way.
Interesting.
I know it sounds basic.
Yeah, we all use dictionaries.
But there's an art to it.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
With so many dictionaries and translation tools available,
It can be overwhelming.
it's easy to get overwhelmed.
Yeah, and you can fall into some bad habits.
And leaning too heavily on translation can actually hinder your progress.
Oh, really? So it can actually slow you down.
It's like trying to learn to ride a bike.
Okay, here comes another analogy.
By just watching someone else do it.
Right.
You have to get on that bike yourself
And feel that wobble.
and figure it out.
Embrace the challenge.
So instead of relying on translation,
Okay,
try figuring out the word's meaning in English first.
so using context clues.
Check an English-only dictionary
Okay.
and only turn to a bilingual dictionary as a last resort.
So really push yourself.
It'll feel a little uncomfortable at first,
It's like stepping out of your comfort
but
zone.
it's super effective
Like a mental workout.
for building a strong understanding of the language.
So it's worth the effort.
Okay, so we've covered 4 tips so far.
4 down.
We're going to take a quick break,
Time for a breather.
and then we'll be back with 6 more.
Can't wait.
All right, so we're back and ready to dive into our next tip, Sarah.
Okay, hit me with it.
This one might sound a little old school in our digital age.
Oh, I like where this is going.
Write those new words down.
You mean like with a pen and paper?
Exactly.
Interesting, because, everyone's always on their phones or computers these days.
I know, but there's something about physically writing that seems to boost memory.
It's like the act of writing helps solidify it in your mind.
Research has actually shown that writing by hand
Oh, wow, so it's not just a feeling.
can significantly improve how much you remember.
Interesting, I wonder why that is.
It could be that it takes more effort and concentration to write by hand,
Yeah, that makes sense.
or maybe it's the physical movement that helps make the memory stick.
The brain-body connection.
Whatever the reason, it's a simple yet effective technique.
Worth a try for sure.
So yeah, put down your phone or keyboard for a bit.
Unplug for a moment.
Grab a pen and notebook.
Old school style.
You might be amazed by the difference it makes.
I'm willing to give it a shot.
And speaking of notebooks,
Okay.
here's another tip. Keep one with you at all times.
Ooh, a vocabulary companion.
Now, this isn't about just scribbling down any random word you see.
Okay, so there's a strategy here.
It's about capturing those aha moments.
I love those moments.
When you come across a new word that truly resonates with you.
A word that sparks your interest.
It's like finding a precious gem. You don't want to lose it.
Absolutely, gotta write it down.
So write down the word,
Okay.
the sentence where you found it, maybe even a little drawing,
A visual aid.
or a personal note that helps you connect with it.
So you're making it your own.
The more personal and meaningful the connection.
The better the chance you'll remember it.
It's like building your own custom dictionary,
I love that idea. A dictionary that's uniquely you.
filled with words that have a special meaning just for you.
That's fantastic.
So building on that idea,
Okay.
here's another tip. Don't just stick with the basic form of a word.
Okay, so branch out a bit.
Challenge yourself to use different forms of a word.
Like what kind of forms?
Try using the plural, different tenses,
Oh, right, like past, present, future.
any variation you can think of.
Interesting.
It's like sneaking in some extra grammar practice.
2 birds with 1 stone.
For example, learn people along with person.
People, yeah, that's a good one.
People is so common.
It's everywhere.
It deserves its own place in your vocabulary.
Agreed.
You'll be amazed at how much more confident you feel
Confidence is key.
when you can switch between different forms of a word effortlessly.
Yeah, it just flows naturally.
It takes your language skills to the next level.
Smooth operating.
All right, Sarah, you ready for a little fun?
Always.
Let's talk about mnemonics.
Mnemonics, is that like a memory trick?
They're memory tricks that use vivid images
Images.
and associations to help you remember things.
Interesting. So you're connecting the word with something memorable.
It's all about harnessing the power of the absurd
The absurd. I like
and
it.
making it work for you.
So the weirder, the better.
The weirder, the better.
Give me an example.
Okay, let's say you're trying to remember the word ostentatious,
Ostentatious. That's a tough one.
which means showy or flashy.
Okay, showy, flashy.
You could imagine an ostrich
An ostrich. Okay.
wearing a giant glittering tiara,
Oh my.
sweating down a runway.
Now that's an image I won't forget.
See, the best part is you can unleash your creativity.
Let your imagination run wild.
Come up with mnemonics that truly resonate with you and your sense of humor.
So it's personalized.
Exactly. Learning a language shouldn't feel like a chore.
It should be fun.
It should be fun. And speaking of shaking things up,
Okay, I'm sensing a theme here.
our next tip is all about variety.
Variety is the spice of life.
Don't get stuck in a vocabulary rut.
Right, keep things interesting.
Our brains crave new experiences.
Novelty keeps us engaged.
So instead of just relying on flashcards or repetition,
Okay, those are good, but what else?
try adding different sensory elements to your learning.
Sensory elements like sight, sound, touch.
You could write new words on sticky notes and put them up around your house.
Ooh, so you see them all the time.
Or record yourself saying the words
Okay,
and listen back to the recording while you're doing other things.
so you're immersing yourself in the sounds.
You could even draw pictures to represent the words or create little skits
Get creative.
or dialogues using them.
So you're acting it out.
The key is to involve different senses.
engage those different parts of the brain.
And make the learning process as interactive and enjoyable as possible.
Learn should be fun.
It should be fun. And this brings us to our final tip.
The grand finale.
Which is perhaps the most fundamental of all.
Okay, I'm ready.
Read.
Read.
The classic advice.
Reading is an incredibly powerful way to build your vocabulary.
I completely agree.
It exposes you to tons of new words.
In a natural setting.
Think about it. This is how we all learned our first language.
Yeah, through exposure.
We were surrounded by language stories, conversations, everyday interactions.
It all just seeped in.
As you read, you'll begin to notice patterns.
Okay.
And make connections between words.
It starts to click.
You'll also pick up on the finer points of how words are used in different contexts.
So you're absorbing it all.
It's like a giant vocabulary puzzle.
I like that.
And every book or article you read helps you piece it together.
Each piece adds to the bigger picture.
And don't be afraid to start with something simple.
Like what?
Like children's books or graded readers.
Okay, starting small.
The important thing is to find something you genuinely enjoy.
That keeps you engaged. That keeps you coming back for more.
Makes sense.
And as you improve, you can gradually challenge yourself.
Step by step.
With more complex texts.
So always pushing yourself a little further.
And there are so many fantastic resources available these days.
Oh yeah, like what?
From online libraries and audiobooks to language learning apps.
So many options.
That offer carefully chosen reading material.
Tailored to your level.
So there you have it, everyone.
We did it!
Our 10 tips for memorizing new English words.
10 powerful strategies.
Working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. Efficiency is key.
And remember, even putting just a few of these tips into practice.
Yeah, you don't have to do them all.
Can make a big difference in how well you remember new words.
Small changes can lead to big results.
It's all about finding what works best for you.
Your own personal learning style.
And making language learning fun and rewarding.
That's the ultimate goal.
So before we wrap up, Sarah.
Yes,
I'm curious, out of all these fantastic tips we've talked about, what's one strategy that you personally find most effective?
That's a tough one. They all work together so well.
But if you had to choose?
If I had to choose, I'd say the combination of personal context and active use.
Active use.
That's a real game changer.
It's like you're taking ownership of those words.
Exactly. You're making them a part of you.
And the more you use them,
the stronger those connections become.
So to everyone listening out there,
yes,
I challenge you to kick one new word today.
Just one.
Maybe it's a word you've been struggling with.
Or a word you've always wanted to learn.
And then put these tips into action.
Experiment and see what works.
Use that word in a sentence, write it down, create a mnemonic for it, find a real-life situation where you can use it.
Make it your own.
And please share your experiences with us in the comments.
We love hearing from you.
We'd love to hear about your vocabulary victories.
Your successes, big and small.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive here at the Learn English Lab.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Until next time.
Happy learning, everyone. It's like they go from being casual acquaintances to close friends.
Exactly. And the more you use them, the more they become like your best buddies. You know, those words you just can't imagine living without.
Absolutely, right? So to everyone listening out there.
Yeah, time for a little challenge.
I challenge you to pick one new word today.
Yeah, just one to start.
Maybe it's a word that you've been struggling with.
One that's been giving you trouble.
Or a word that you've always wanted to learn, but you've been putting it off.
Yeah, a word that just seems a bit intimidating.
And then I want you to take all these tips that we've talked about today and put them into action.
Yes, don't just listen to us, actually do it.
Use that word in a sentence. Write it down, create a mnemonic for it.
Make it silly, make it memorable.
Find a real-life situation where you can use it.
Like in a conversation with a friend or in an email.
Make it yours.
Own it.
And then come back here and tell us all about it.
Yes, we want to hear about your vocabulary victories.
Share your experiences with us in the comments below.
We love hearing from you guys.
We'd love to know what works for you, what doesn't work.
Yeah, let's learn from each other.
So that's all the time we have for today's deep dive here on the Learn English Lab.
It went by so fast.
I know time flies when you're having fun learning English.
Okay, true.
If you found these tips helpful, please give this video a thumbs up.
And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more English learning tips and tricks.
We release new videos every week, so hit that notification bell so you don't miss out.
And until next time.
Happy learning, everyone.